5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate very much your generous invitation to be here tonight. You bear heavy responsibilities these days.
Welcome to Stock Legends Radio Show, seeking answers, opinions, and the inside scoop, putting you in the front seat on Wall Street.
In today's market,
This is breaking news. Where is it going next?
StockLegends.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stock Legends Radio Show, and thank you for joining us today. We have a great and exciting show ahead of us. Please welcome this show's hosts, myself, Quick Draw, Matt Chart, our Senior Technical Analyst. Matt Chart, welcome to the show.
Hey there, Quick Draw. Very happy to be here. Looking forward to having a fantastic show today, and I think we're going to have got a lot of excellent people on today's show, and we're going to cover some great topics. I think everyone needs to tune in and, you know, put their headphones on and listen to what we have to say.
We also have on this show Stock Sumo, President of CEO Central. Stock Sumo, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, excited to be back after a long hiatus, and I'm super pumped about the all-star lineup we got.
Absolutely. We have an action-packed show planned out for you today, starting off with guest appearances from Manic Trader and Stocks Diva from StockGoodies.com. Also joining us later in the show will be well-known traders, Stock Guru from LevelStock.com. Entering our Traders Talk segment of the show, we will have guest appearances from Pimping Wall Street, Kifkia, and Chasing Stars. Last but not least, rolling into the market update segment of the show, will be hosted by Smart Trader. Now let's take a quick moment to take a step back and review the summer of trading that we're finally coming out of. What a summer we've had here, huh, guys?
Oh, yeah, it's been pretty wild, that's for sure, especially the last few months.
Especially the past 2 weeks. Boy, last week was crazy.
Yeah, last week, actually, they said it was the worst week in the market since 2008. Matt Chart, from a technical analysis standpoint, does the market have any recovery left? Does it have a bounce from a technical standpoint?
Well, yeah, we could have a bounce from a technical standpoint. We're looking at the Dow bottomed out here back in August at 10,600, and we just came back down to test that level. We've got some support there. We're holding it, but, I mean, it may not be too long before we kind of, you know, fall back below our support, and we could see another panic like we saw in August. I mean, a lot of people are kind of talking like it's the end of the world, but you know, really, I think tomorrow, like in the next week here, we probably could see a rally in the Dow. You know, short term, looking not too bad. We found some support. It looks like we might lift from it, but you know, if you want to stretch it out for a few weeks or months, we're probably going to be breaking that support level, and we could see another big market crash.
Now, how do you think the maybe QE3 quantitative easing or cash influx into the market, how do you think the market will react to that this time around, if that does
Well,
go
I mean,
through?
people are kind of anticipating that that's going to be coming, but I mean, you know, until it actually comes, you know, that's basically the lifesaver that's going to project the markets back up into a positive trend. If you look back at the end of June when quantitative easing 2 ended, that basically signals right on cue when the market started to collapse. And, you know, we were trading up around 13,000 points all the way down to almost the bottom of 10,000 there, and it didn't take very long to get there. So we're going to continue this sort of trajectory until, you know, the Fed decides to come out with some sort of massive stimulus plan to bring the markets back up, because really they're sitting on life support right now. The quantitative easing life support's ended, and now the markets are going back into a recession.
I follow the micro-cap and small-cap markets. I seem to be a religious thing with the OTC markets, and I've noticed a real lack of liquidity. And I think the SEC is starting to wake up that there's been some problems with some of the policies that some of the brokers have put in place, like Penson and various clearing firms. I just saw an announcement made by the SEC on September 19th. They said that they're going to be holding a roundtable on microcap securities, and this is going to be held on October the 17th. And I strongly urge everyone to voice their opinion on how they can improve the execution, clearance, and settlement of low-price securities.
I agree. It's definitely in need of some reorganizing. There's been some harsh regulations put into place that have hindered the ability to grow. Typically, when we see a down big board market, the volumes in OTC pick up, but we really haven't seen that this time around.
Right.
Actually, right on that similar topic, if you guys go to www.stocklegends.com, we actually have a contest right now. If you can guess the price of the Dow on October 30th, the last submit date is October 15th. If you can guess the price of the Dow on October 30th, whoever comes the closest to the actual price of the Dow will win a brand new iPad 2, kind of a fun contest that we're going to introduce. Keep people guessing, keep people on their toes, and alert to what's going on in the big boards market and not just the OTC small cap. Even though we're having some difficult market times, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There are still a few groups that are putting out consistently phenomenal plays where investors are making money. One of those groups is actually getting ready to come on this show here in a minute. It's Stock Goodies. Stock Goodies, actually, we have them here right now, Manic Trader and Stock Diva from Stock Goodies. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having both of us.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. Good to be here.
Now, we were taking a look at what you guys have done. Now, last week, you guys ran a phenomenal play, LUSI. Categorically one of the worst weeks the big board market has ever seen. You guys took a stock, LUSI, and you ran that upwards of over 90%. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That was a pretty good play for us last Thursday's play. She had hit a high of day of 95.4%, closing up 63.4%. But from the open to the close, it was like a 61.3% gain. So, it was a very happy. And 4 times record volume, too, for that matter. So, very happy with that play.
That's unbelievable. Now, let me ask you a question between me and you, because obviously in a down market, a lot of investors, the newer guys coming into the business, they're trading stocks. They're maybe losing 10% on this one, 20% on that one. Now, what keeps you ahead of the pack as far as putting the right attention on the right stocks at the right time? Do you think it would be your personal touch, or would it be your long-term position in the industry?
Well, it's like no one has a crystal ball, and, we never really know how well a play is going to do before it happens, right? But, I mean, a lot of people have been following us around. We have like over 400,000 followers on Twitter and Facebook, and we get a very extensive reach, and we do things above and beyond like what your typical investor relations company will do. Like they might just hire somebody, put out a newsletter or whatnot, or profile the company on their website for a week or whatnot. But what we do is something totally different. We hit all areas of the social media and the sector itself, and I can't really give you the whole secret recipe for goodies, because but what we try to produce is lasting power for the company, give them the best we can,
Absolutely.
Now, it's something no one else does, so, we figure that it's going to pay off in the long run for us.
Now, do you feel, because, we've been watching you guys for a while, and we know that you're one of the veterans in the industry, as your social media following grows, now upwards of 400,000, do you feel like that's becoming more and more of a vital tool to be able to actually project the point that you're trying to get across to a global network? Do you feel that that's actually increasing as far as its capabilities and market reach?
Social media, absolutely. Social media has grown so much in the past 3 years. It's incredible. That's a big part of what we do. Absolutely. Sure. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, yes, definitely. Because in the beginning, we had this vision of when we started our website, to share knowledge, the common increasing of all of the stocks and everything, and now of course we concentrate more on OTC, but people search for the tickers on Twitter now. They go to Facebook. The groups are just growing astronomical. On the internet, you figure most people can't go to, down to the local donut shop and find out what's running this week. So
exactly.
Everybody has the internet at their fingertips, global, everywhere. And that's where people go. The minute they get up, the first thing they do is turn their computer on. So it's been a great, great tool for us.
And it's not something that's actually developed overnight. Now, I actually wanted to mention, is it true that you guys are having your 3-year anniversary this week?
That is true.
Well, congratulations.
On Tuesday. Thank you. It wouldn't be if it wasn't for our members. We have about over 4,000 members on the Stock Goodies website now. We've come a long way since 3 years ago, and we want to congratulate all the members that have come into our chat room, and that type of thing. We do have blogs and groups. People are encouraged to come to our website, put their own ticker. They can maintain their own group. That's one good thing about the website. And then they're more than welcome to sign up on our homepage. We put out a Stock in Focus when we do every ticker that we run.
Mm-hmm. Now,
do you guys have anything new and exciting on the menu for your followers this week?
Absolutely, and we just sent one out this morning. Our Stock in Focus this week is VKML, and that's Victor Kilo Mike Lima. It's Viking Minerals, and they can check out if anybody's into metals and stuff. It's in a great commodity. Copper hopefully looks like it's going to be on a rebound. I mean, the chart looks great. It looks like it's going to turn around. So that's what their company concentrates on. So, and they had PR come out late Friday afternoon on some of their updates on one of their claims that they had. So they had some great numbers. So we're looking forward to it tomorrow.
Excellent. We'll be looking forward to that play. Now, also, outside of the mining play, isn't it true we're hearing that you're actually pretty in-depth in the bio sector? That's a new sector to be involved with.
Yeah. I've been involved in the bio sector for probably about 5 years now. And I started looking into it, and I really enjoy it. I have my own Board on Investor Hub. And anybody that knows me will come to me, know that I will dig deep and do the due diligence on it. If I don't know the ticker, I do watch over 300 charts in the healthcare and biosector every day. So, yeah.
And what's the name of that board there on iHub?
That board would be Stocks Diva BioBin.
Stocks Diva BioBin. Excellent.
What kind of things would you say that are some of the bigger risks associated with trading that type of market for people, or how can people sort of get educated and informed on it?
Oh boy, it is a very hard sector to get into. It is a very tricky sector to trade. I have ideas, I've written blogs on it. My biggest thing is if you don't have a trading account that can trade, before and after hours, I would not risk it. The other thing that I always say, and I've said it through and through on different radio shows, that my ideal is if you know when a company is going to come out with a certain type of FDA approval, in the perfect world, I would get out the day or two before. Technicals are really hard to play in a bio. They lose interest. You can see a trend most generally come up on it, but you will see the stock go up and you'll see it go down. When investors are actually notified of what's going on within that company, but you just learn to follow that every 6 weeks a company's going to come out with updates. Most generally they come out around financials. So it's just if you just need to know when to watch to get out.
Yeah, well, that sounds like great advice. I'm sure after 5 years of trading biotech, then you really got it down to a science. No pun intended. Now, what brokers would you suggest that are good at, placing online orders pre-market and post-market?
Wow. I use Ameritrade. E-Trade does good. I would stay with the major ones. I would not use the smaller ones. Bless their hearts. The smaller ones have one round trips, per day. So if you want, make sure that you have an account that if you need to turn a stock around in a day, be careful of those smaller ones that are coming out.
Now, I've also noticed, just from sidelining and watching Stock Goodies and how you guys operate your business, which I must say is a very, very good setup. I noticed that a lot of promoters and investors alike, people that need help with plays, I see them actually come to your Investors Hub board, which is called Stock Goodies, and they'll sometimes ask you, hey, can you guys give us a help? We're a little hung up on this play here. And you guys will actually project that out to your social media followers. Do I have that correct?
That is correct. We are very personable to the investors. the traders, and to other promoters. That is one thing that we do value on ourselves, is that we reach out and help others. That is our main goal, to train people, how to trade, teach them the knowledge of what the company is. We spend hours and hours doing due diligence on our plays. I spend hours looking through financials. And, if someone comes to me, I get a lot of replies throughout the day and say, hey, Diva, can you tweet this? Whether it's a trader, whether it's a promoter, but that's one thing we'd like to have, that we just reach out and help everybody, and our presence is there no matter where and how we touch people's lives. It is incredible. I get so many thank yous every day. It's like, it's incredible.
Well, it's a difficult market. I mean, if you think of the market and the amount of traders, a typical trader, they get, $2,000 to $3,000. They open a broker account, and they can't wait to throw that $3,000 into a stock. And you know what? Unfortunately, 9 times out of 10, without being properly educated or having the right group/person to rely and ask questions to, will lose their investment, in the first 30 days. And in a down market, that becomes more and more apparent. So it's good to see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You guys have a very successful track record with your plays. We want to have our listeners in the show today stop by and take a look at www.stockgoodies.com. Not only is it a website full of some great information, but there's also an interactive chat. I notice you guys have some video charts up there. You really have a little bit of everything to be able to portray different ticker symbols and due diligence across the investor community, which I think is what makes you guys different than the average company. It's really been a pleasure to have you guys on the show. We have a couple other guests coming up here. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. And again, hey, thank you very much for coming on the show, Stock Goodies.
Thank you for having us.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks.
Sweetheart, now you're getting a little bit older. What do you want to do when you grow up?
Daddy, when I get older, I want to flip stocks.
You want to flip stocks? Well, how are you going to go about flipping stocks?
StockLegends.com, duh.
StockLegends.com? I heard that they have the best stock picks around.
Of course they do, Dad. Time is money. I gotta go.
Investors, welcome back to the show from that short break. Up next, we have Pat from Level Stock. That's levelstock.com. Pat, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Justin. Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing
good. Pat, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you.
So, Pat, we wanted to talk to you about what you possibly have coming up in the next week or two, and direct some of our listeners to stop by and check out levelstock.com. You guys are basically a great all-around awareness company with some great plays in the past. What do you have on the radar for this week?
For this week, we have 4 different symbols for you guys to take a look at. We have one at 0005. The symbol is EVXA. Edward Victor Xavier Apple. Another play at 6 cents is BRGO. Boy Roger George Oliver. We also have RAP, WRAP at 9 cents, and DGHG at $1.06.
Now BRGO, actually that one rings a bell there. BRGO has been a very active stock coming up over the last couple of weeks. I see that closed up Friday around 0.06, around 6 cents.
Yep, and apparently the CEO has been on some business the past few weeks, and they've been relatively quiet. So I'm assuming that we'll hear something from that trip.
Excellent.
Wonderful. I'm looking at the chart here. I mean, it was up at 14.5 cents, and it's come down, hit a bottom around 4, and it's sort of building a nice bottom, it looks like here. So I think you might be, I agree with you here that, the technicals are kind of lining around, and we could see a nice move to the upside here.
Yeah, this dip down a few weeks back. It was right, like you said, right at I think it hit 14.2, and then it dipped back down, but it's on its way back up, and I think it did that run with no news. So I think if we can hear something, hopefully from the CEO sometime this week, I think this should have no problem breaking that level and possibly forming some new highs there.
Excellent. What was the other play there? The other play was RAP.
Diversified Group Holdings, DGHG. I've been following that for quite some time. They had some press this past week they had announced a completion of negotiations for sale of one of its Russian electronic components, and in the PR it said the approximate market value was $1.5 million on that. So they'll be interested to see what that stock does over the next couple of weeks. I've followed it since one of my friends gave me a tip on it when it was around 40 cents, and it's been on a slow, steady incline on light volume, so it seems to be holding really well.
Yeah, I looked at that ticker symbol as well. Actually, I was very surprised to find out that stock did not trade with more volume. If you look at what they've done over the last 6 months or so, they built that giant, what was that, a sports complex in Russia, Pat?
Yeah, they have an entire, I believe it's a multiplex, a superplex, huge complex over in Russia. They're based. Most of their revenue comes from that Russian market, and they're basically, I mean, they have 11, 12 subsidiaries, and they're just building solid business, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this. I think it's at $1.26. I think it's still really undervalued. If you look at the financials and everything, I think the book value on it's around $2.40. So it did. It was down around 40. I think it hit 30 cents at one point, and as soon as that was basically its bottom, and it's steadily over the past month just on
once again for
volume. It's just been building. Nice.
Once again, for all our listeners, that ticker symbol is DGHG. That's Dog Girl, Hairy Girl. That's Diversified Global Holdings Group, Inc.
Interesting choice of abbreviation there.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like a bad date.
Dog Girl, Hairy Girl. Make sure you check it out. Next, going on to WRAP. Actually, you know what? This stock I've been paying attention to as well, and I really like their position in the public market. Now, they just came out with something that actually helps people with emails protect themselves against impersonation and phishing. For those listeners that don't know what that is, what hackers actually do is they attach something to emails or to some kind of component of a website. It's called phishing. And they're actually able to get your passwords and a lot of your private information that way. And as everybody knows, the actual, that segment of the market, the fraud market, is getting bigger and bigger. I think they might be in a perfect position, not only from a charting perspective, coming off of support around 6 cents, just under 6 cents, but as far as their position in the market.
Well, they have a really unique, basically product or service where the email itself. I actually use their service, and you can send out an email with basically advertising wrapped all around it. So most people send 10 to 30 emails a day. So every time you send an email, you have those for businesses. You can have that advertising right in there. Also, I had spoken to the CEO a month or two back, and they're looking at doing a lot of things with like missing children and stuff of that nature. So you got the Amber Alerts that are great. They can find kids real quick. But then you have all these different people sending emails all the time. You have that missing child thing. You could, we could see something down the road with that as a huge tool, and helping kids out.
Absolutely. Now we also, I stopped and I took a look at your website, levelstock.com. That's a very well put together website that you have there. And I also looked at your traffic. I was extremely impressed when I noticed how many visits you get to your site and how you guys actually rank. That must have taken you a long time to build and a lot of work.
Yeah, well, I give all that credit to my partner. He when I say he puts in 25 hours a day on the website, he puts in 26. He's just amazing when it comes to getting fresh information onto the site and getting us ranked the way we are. I mean, on Alexa, we're under 250 and that's worldwide. Which I think puts us in like the top 1% of all websites worldwide. And yeah, he's very good with the PHP coding and getting us ranked up there. And that's where that's what we do. We do advertising and marketing for companies. So we're in there usually a lot before any type of a run happens, because these are companies that actually want advertising. They want eyeballs on the company,
right?
So people can see what they're doing.
Rather than go ahead.
What's that?
No, I was going to say, rather than just see the stock get pumped up, which happens 9 times out of 10, and then it returns to current levels, they're actually reaching out industry-wide to try and gain long-term swing investors, people that are looking for a 6-month to a 12-month position.
Yeah, we don't go in for plays that are, over a day or a week. That's what we do. We try and develop long-term relationships with the companies that we feel are trying to put the right foot forward and do the right thing and have a real product, etc. The other company I had said, EVXA, they're at 0005. If you look at their chart, they're basically they were 0001 I think a month ago, and they've been slowly and steadily moving up. They're restructuring their stock. They're in a position where the company has to, do all the right things to stay in business. So I think that's an easy, lot of type play where you can easily double your investment. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely coming off of a bottom here. You can see that basically this was a company that just got trashed, and just looking at the technicals, you can see that they're definitely doing something right, because investor attention's coming back into this, and it's looking like it's just coming off of a bottom.
Yeah, and there's no selling. I mean, a lot of companies that are in the 0001 to 0009. Any company that's there and it's been there for a while is probably going to have a pass. But the way I look at it is, especially with all these new rules that Penson has put forth, a lot of companies either have to, if they're going to stay in business, they have to play ball, and it's good for the investor, because now the investor can take advantage of getting into some of these companies at almost the bottom. So.
Right, exactly. Before they make a big move.
Yeah, before they can really do anything where it's doing mergers with other companies where they'd be trading paper. They can't do that until they get to that 10-cent mark. So I mean, you can get in at the bottom and ride it all the way up. You're a happy camper.
Exactly.
When it's in the 000 range.
Yeah, it was not long ago. This was, over 25-cent stock. So, I mean, the potential for a return if they're rebuilding their company and share structure. I mean, we could see moves just about anywhere from here.
Exactly, and that's what I like. I love a 0001 play anyways, because it's it's a little gamble, but at the end of the day, you really can't take that bad of a hit, and especially the way the market's been, it's pretty volatile right now. So if you can get into some of these smaller price plays, you got a nice chance of recouping some money, and for those who may have lost, average down.
Exactly. Well, we want to bring everyone back over to your website. That is levelstock.com. Investors, this is Guru Trader. Pat, thanks for being on the show today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, and we can maybe in a couple of weeks, if we get some new plays, we can do it again.
Absolutely, we'd love it.
Yeah, actually, what's the best way to find out what you have going on right now? I mean, you've given us 4 companies here. You may have some more. Is your website the best place, or is there, should people be subscribing to an email list?
Yes, you can get us on. You can sign up for our newsletter at levelstock.com, and you can also find us on Facebook at levelstock.com for the fan page. So we do a lot through that. It's going to get us on Twitter as well. So.
Excellent. Well, investors, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. Pat from Level Stock, again, thank you very much for being a part of the show, and we look forward to having you on future episodes. Thank you very much. All right.
Bye-bye.
The whispers are true. Games that are legendary. StockLegends.com.
Welcome back to the show, traders. Now for the Traders Talk portion of the show, we have some great experienced local traders that will be talking about everything from market conditions, current stock plays, and some traders' advice. Please welcome Chasing Stars.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Well, welcome to the show, Chasing Stars. See If I Care. Welcome, See If I Care, to the show.
Aloha. How's it going, guys?
And we also have Buy It Traded in the house from MarketGoodies.com. Buy It Traded, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you all here today, and so what we're going to start talking about first here, quick.
Well, what we'll do is we'll kind of talk to the investors right now more than ever. You know, last week being one of the historically low weeks in the stock market since 2008, there's a lot of new investors coming into the business, and they're kind of looking for some advice as to how to trade in a down market, how to be successful, what kind of indicators might help them turn their trades profitable, and possibly some advice on some fundamentals. So this portion of the show is directed towards, giving them some advice so that they can be successful. Chasing Stars. Now, a lot of people don't know Chasing Stars actually has not been in the business for very long, but has excelled extremely well. So it goes to show you the difference between somebody that's not reading up and studying, different ways to be prosperous in the market, and somebody that is. Chasing Stars is very educated, basically has a nonstop learning curve. Wouldn't you say that, Chasing Stars?
Yeah, absolutely. There, quick. When I first started the market, just like anybody else did, there's a lot of different angles you can look at, a lot of different stock tickers out there. You get to the point where you don't know what to choose. The best advice I can give to somebody is to go through all these tickers, learn about the technical side, not only the fundamental side. That's exactly where I started to make a lot of money. Everybody loses money when they start. And if anybody says different, they're lying. But you do lose money starting. Stay strong. Look into the technical side of it. And best also sign up for every newsletter you could find. That's another thing. Follow the newsletter. See which ones are pushing it. See which ones are running. And that's a good way to start out.
Yeah, and I notice a lot of times when I follow some of these particular newsletters, the stocks have a pullback before they end up going back up. So it's just good to be familiar with a lot of the different plays out there, and I keep them on my radar. This is one of the methods that I like to use. I have a nice watch list of about 40 different stocks, and they tend to get promoted here and there, and when I watch them, I see their patterns and follow them to the point where I know when their support comes and when they reach their resistance. And the technicals on the chart are one thing that I like to look at when I'm analyzing certain plays. One play in particular that I've done pretty well on over the past couple of months is EXTO. That's exit only. And last week I was watching it dip back. The past two trading days it seemed to find support at 0064, 0065 range. And before that, the support was holding at 008. So, once I saw it break the support to the downside, I kind of knew that, I just took a step back, looked, see where the next support level is. Now that's what I'm going to be looking for this week. I want to watch EXTO hold that support level that it's found the past 2 days.
So Sifkia, tell us what works for you. You've been around for quite a while in the markets, and clearly you're an experienced trader. What sort of things do you look at, to help minimize your losses?
Well, I try to keep it simple, and first thing I do anytime somebody gives me a ticker or something that I'm doing some D&D on, I consider myself a technical trader first, is I'm going to look at the max chart, and I want to see where she's been, so give me a little idea of where she's going to be going. I pull up a 20, a 50, a 100, and 200-day simple moving average. I look at the money flow index, RSI, slow stochastics, MACD, and basically once I've looked at the longer-term chart, and I'll take a look at news, fundamentals, stuff like that. I'm more of a big board trader, but I do trade pennies. I'll follow the hub and newsletters, and I got a scanner set up. But basically, I'm just looking to buy support, sell resistance. I like to day trade, and I'm looking for good buys and following seasonality and market even market sayings are so true these days. I mean, the sell in May, going away, remember, sell in September. I mean, there's a lot of them out there that if you kind of just know what's going on, and the longer you're, like Chasing Stars said, there's that learning curve, and the longer you're in this market, the more you learn. But I think the key to trading, at least for me, is keeping it simple, because there's a whole bunch of things out there that can get you confused and off track of what the big picture is, and that's, in my opinion, the supply, the demand, which is the support and the resistance. So
absolutely. Now, buy it, trade it. Buy it, trade it. We've seen some of your charts as well. You're actually a technical trader, also, aren't you?
Yes, sir. I try to keep my emotions out of it by just trading the charts. Sometimes I will get emotionally involved, and I will look at the fundamentals, kind of like the last newsletter I did last weekend on DUG, which is the ultra-short ETF for oil and gas. I just feel like it was overbought. Right now it's pretty much oversold, but you cannot have a good economy with high gas prices. That affects all of us. Even the collective thought of just looking at the gas pump and it being over $3, you're just kind of like, oh, shit, I don't like spending that money.
Well, yeah, that's a valid point there.
You're going to spend just, and in reality, when people tell you that in Europe they spend more money, which is true, on gas, they have a better transportation system, A. B, they're not spending all the money on, when you take into consideration oil, you need to take into consideration plastics, because plastics is an oil-based product. So, when people talk about on CNBC you should hedge against, the dollar with oil and gold, no, it should just be gold, not oil. Unless you want to have a terrible economy, invest in oil and let it just go up. Because America, we cannot live with $100 a barrel. We're not. Right. Our transit system sucks at $100 a barrel.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, we can't. Our economy can't put up with $100 a barrel, and it can barely do what it's doing now. So, gold is.
Well, maybe that will change
as unemployment continues to be a problem. Meanwhile, you got the rising cost of gasoline. That's just like a double-edged sword.
Exactly, and that's why I say if you're going to hedge against anything, and I tell traders it's hedge against gold and the gold miners. Take Chevron Group, SRNG. It's a new gold miner, and it's so new it's really under the radar right now, and nobody really looks at SRNG. I think with the press releases that have been released, some people are catching on to it, and hopefully that one will do something. As far as technicals go, you could do the Dennis Gartman theory: buy high, sell higher. If it breaks, the 4-cent barrier, people buy breakouts. Why? Because good trend is your friend, and it will go higher. I keep it simple, just like Chasing Stars says. Einstein said it best. If you can't say it simply, you don't know it well enough. And that's why I study 3 indicators, which are my favorite, which is the Relative Strength Index, RSI, Parabolic SAR, and the, moving averages. Yeah, those are the 3 that I like the most, Because moving averages, they do show support levels and resistance levels. SRG, again, it's broke above all the moving averages. So it is in a breakout mode. It just doesn't have the volume yet. But when you look at it, you can pretty much see what happens when there is volume flow into the chart. So I kind of like that. You want to talk about pre-promo, that's the kind of pre-promo play that people like to do before the newsletters. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But,
exactly. And
because
I'm gonna jump back to EXTO real quick, because they're focusing on mining as well, and they've had some announcements about a merger with Bayport Corporation, and I'm waiting to see the status get updated on Pink Sheets. I think there's been a little bit of a delay. In one of their recent press releases, they announced that they had submitted all the proper information and files to Pink Sheets. So I'm waiting to see that status get updated from Cabot Emtar to current status. And once I see the Pink Sheets updated, then I would probably expect that EXTO is going to make some other significant announcements, maybe have a name change and a symbol change, because they are undergoing that merger process with Bayport.
Right. So basically, I got a question for any of you guys out there. There's headlines everywhere that the banks are possibly going to be stepping in at any point in time here to prevent a market sell-off. basically we've got the G20 on Thursday saying that, we're going to take concerted action. Do you foresee this coming in and affecting the markets? Do you see them? Do you guys see them coming in and trying to prevent a market crash, or do you think that they're just going to let nature take its course?
Well, considering how much money they made in the last market crash, I would assume not that they would do little. Pretty much, they might buy treasury bonds, but I'm not sure if they'll buy stocks. When you look at the indexes, I just don't know. I mean, when I look at Schlumberger, yeah, sure, it's fundamentally strong, year after year, but at the same time, it's an old idea. It's an old company. I'm looking for something new. That's why I like microcaps and penny stocks, because it's a new idea. It's a new company.
Great. CFI Care, you were trying to say something there too.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah. What do you want to say about it?
I was just going to say, I think eventually they will do something because, great point. We all know that going down, the most you can make is all the way to 0, 100%. So at some point they want to go up. That's our infinity move, right? So eventually they step in. We see the belt. I think we're real close to. You got to look for that capitulation, and it's right around the corner, guys. In my opinion, anyways. It's where it's going to come from is between the IMF and the G20 stepping in and increasing their 440 billion euro fund or whatever it is. I think the dollar's been on one heck of a run, but I don't think the dollar. I don't think any fiat currencies for that matter are around to last. And exactly, and time will show that. I think the dollar goes lower and the euro can go lower. Overall, I think stocks are going to be the place to be, and not in the money markets and the low yielders. And people got to park their money, and I think it's coming real soon.
Exactly. So is the place to park the money in precious metals where they've had a big sell-off already, or do you think the bond market is probably a safer place?
Well, you see them run into the bond market and the dollar like crazy right now when you got, China slow down, global slow down, and you can see with the prices of gold and silver. With gold right now, I think what you're seeing is profit taking. I mean, you look at the big hedge funds, the ones that are winning right now and are showing profits this year when the market's down, they're showing the same profits as around gold. So, you gotta lock in the profits to report to your investors and show that you're worth their money. So I think that's what you're seeing with gold, not to mention just the whole, but as for silver, I think it's clear to say that it is not being traded as a safe haven no more, and it is getting hammered with the rest of the commodities, copper, you name them, all of them, with this dollar rise, because we didn't get the big printing of money. We got Operation Twist, which is basically going to be a failure. But they will step in, they will do more easement, and we will see the dollar get crushed more. And I believe silver is a winner in the long run for the 401k Roth, and so is gold. The strong hands will come back. It's just a matter of time. These are the times where we scale in, no loading of the boat, and that's how you play it, in my opinion.
Exactly.
Very good points.
I was shocked to see silver take such a hit. What was it, 16% or 19% last week?
Unreal.
Yeah, and historically, I mean, that's hugely undervalued. Actually, Matt Chart is a big silver buff. As far as the above ground physical silver levels, Matt, think about that. Where do you think silver's going?
Well, I mean, technically, it looks like silver may have broken some support levels, but I mean, generally, we are in an oversold territory. The thing is that's interesting about precious metals is that in times of crisis, like we're seeing right now, that eventually, these are going to be probably some of the safe places to be, particularly if we see a continuation of quantitative easing or more bailouts, because all that the bailouts really are doing is they're providing temporary ends to panics, but we're also basically devaluing the currencies that they're representing. So if we're coming out with quantitative easing 3 in the United States, we're going to see the U.S. dollar take a hit. If we're going to see more bailouts in euros in Europe, then we're going to see the euro start to take a hit, and that's going to put upward pressure up on precious metals. So, we're saying that they're telling us that QE3 is coming, or there might be some sort of, injection of money that's going to put negative pressure on any currencies.
So what do you guys think the hot sector is going to be more moving forward over the next couple of weeks as we have so many major issues coming to the table? The market tends to move in waves. We saw a lot of the mining stocks and gold and physical metal plays rise in popularity. Obviously, that kind of changed over the last week or two. Any projections on where the hot sector is going to be in the next week or two trading big boards and OTC?
I'll take a shot at that. I actually, since we were talking about it, miners and gold and whatnot, the ticker that I'm looking at and have been trading, for years now is a U.S. Gold Corporation. That's ticker UXG. It's a great story. I highly recommend everybody doing the D&D on it. But it's been taken out back. Going back, just to give you a little history on this thing, going back to October 24th, 2008, this thing was trading at 38 cents. And by 4/8/2011, this thing topped out at 9.87. We're talking a 14-bagger here. So it's had one beast of a run. But now we're trading back down to levels of 4.50, which, looking at, like I said, always pulling that chart out back so you can see the history. From that last swing low on the 24th to now, we're coming up on that 61.8% fib, technically. We got some big gaps to fill. I love gaps on charts. They usually always fill them one way or the other, even if it has to be with a reverse split, but this is one that I don't believe does that. Do the D&D. Rob McCoon's the CEO. He's the biggest shareholder. Over 28 million shares he holds, so he puts his money where his mouth is. He used to be the CEO of Gold Corp, ticker GG. I think we all know who that is. So it's a good one to check out, guys. I picked some up on Friday's close. Like I said, I'm a day trader, so I can get in and out. I have the status to where I can liquidate and be able to get back in. But check the chart. It's coming up on some big support, guys. So that's the one I wanted to talk about there.
That's great.
I always have had a lot of success with mining plays in the past, and I think those are going to continue to be a safe haven. But I always like technology plays as well. I think tech stocks are a pretty good safe bet if it's a technology that has a likelihood of being bought out. You see a lot of these buyouts happen. It happened with Skype. If you see some hot companies that have some pretty cutting edge technology, they're always interesting because you never know when a buyout could take place on one of those.
Buy it, trade it. What do you have on radar for this week?
Well, the mining corporations, junior miners, and technology. I have a couple of those I'm thinking about right now off the top of my head. Also, while y'all were talking, I was thinking about OTC stocks that actually made it to the big wars. Did you know HANS? That's Hansen. Monster Energy drinks. It used to trade for 50 cents. 10 years ago, that thing used to trade for 10 cents. 50 cents. Pull up a 10-year chart of HANS. I don't know. When I think high percentage gain stocks, I think of penny market. When I think of high percentage, gainers, it's always going to be the penny market. It's just the ability to do things that haven't been done before, come up with new patents, new ideas, stuff that, is under the radar now, but it'll make it big then. Everybody knows about Monster Energy drink now, but 10 years ago it was just an OTC stock. Little company used to sell little energy drinks here and there. Jones Soda, same way. It used to be a penny stock. So, it's just something to think about when you're trading or investing.
Perfect. Well, that's basically what the segment of the show is about, trying to give some investors some new ideas, some outlook over the next couple of weeks. Chasing Stars. Now, you've been a big fan of EMXC. You were actually one of the original guys that traded that stock. That's turned out to be a phenomenal play. Now, when you were looking at that stock, what did you look at that basically made you jump into the stock and be able to hold it rather than, everyone has their own techniques. Some people day trade. Some people might be in and out of 5 or 6 stocks over the course of a single trading day. You have a different strategy. You have more of a long-term swing strategy. Is that correct?
Yeah, EMXC was talked about from a few friends, and, I did the same thing. I pulled up the chart. And I started looking at it and pulled up a few of the past few hours and read about a buyback. And I started looking into it and started putting timelines on the stuff. And the accumulation on that stock is really what grabbed my attention. And like BioTrade has said, with the RSI and the parabolic stars, there's a lot of things on that chart that start hitting my radar when I first seen it. The accumulation on it's just insane, still growing, and it went from 0004 and had a run up to 11 and retraced back down and tapped 4 again, and we hit a high of so far of 24. So it's been a good play. I mean, follow the trend. Don't be afraid to sell at resistance and pick it back up. I mean, stocks don't run forever, and I think that's where a lot of newbies mess up.
Yeah, they think they can hold it, and it'll be the winning stock that'll make them a millionaire. You know, remember, I can't remember who it is that has it in their profile, but I believe it was Buddha said that a bucket fills best drop by drop, or something along the lines of that.
It doesn't take much, man.
It doesn't take much.
A lot of these people don't understand. If you get a stock early enough, I mean, a 0004 stock, if it ran to 10 cents, and it happens, I mean, we all know this. Mm-hmm. If it runs to 10 cents, you can make a lot of money doing it. You just got to find the right ones before it does it.
Speaking of charts that are shaping up, I caught this one last week that I noticed that the MACD was starting to pinch, and it just crossed. The histogram just flipped over and it's starting to go up. SFOR is the symbol. Strikeforce Technologies, Inc. That's Sally, Frank, Oscar, Robert. What do you guys think about that chart?
You know, it looked like it had a really nice run up from the 00 area back in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Went up to, so that's right there. That's a good example of what I said. From 0025-ish all the way up to, 13 cents? That's a lot of money that people can make if you, like I said, if you find them at the right time.
Yeah, that was right in the beginning of the year. Since then, it had a couple of little bounces. Just recently it ran from 2 cents up to 5.5 cents, and then came back down here, found support at 2 cents last week. It's going to be interesting to see what this play does forward from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. Well, guys, thank you very much for being a part of the Stock Trader Talk portion of the show. We're going to go to a quick radio break, and we will see you guys all there on the trading field.
All right.
Thanks for being a part of the show, guys. Thank you.
StockLegends.com, duh.
Welcome back, traders. We're going to be going over the market recap section of the show. We have with us Smart Trader and Matt Chart. They're going to be talking about some physical metals. Smart Trader, welcome to the show.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Smart Trader, you've been, excellent in your analysis of the precious metals market. I think you bring a lot of in-depth analysis to this particular industry. You've studied it quite well. You're invested in it. You've spent a lot of time analyzing it and researching it. Basically, we've seen precious metals in particular take a large nosedive, and a lot of people are pointing to the fact that the CME Group has suggested or has basically raised margin requirements on gold by 21.5%, silver by 15.6%, and copper futures by 17.6%. So, and we've seen basically a correlation panic in all three of these particular markets. Do you think these margin requirements are at all attributed to the panic we've seen in the precious metals markets?
Absolutely, and I think one of the main things you can get out of this recent price action that has come through over the end of last week. It seems like a lot of it's speculation driven, and the main thing that shows that is the recent decline. A lot of speculation investors, they're going to be waiting for that price to move up. The $50 rumors, the $70 rumors, they're waiting for that payday. Whereas the fundamental investors, they're looking at more of the long term. So I think the correlation between the two is definitely ironic. We had a drop in the chart pretty significantly when they raised the margin requirements towards the beginning of May, I believe, this year. So here they are again doing it, and we see the same type of reaction on the chart. So I think a lot of the fundamentals are still intact. We haven't heard any recent developments about silver not being, very good for industrial use or anything in that nature. So a lot of the physical investors are aiming for the fundamentals. They really like this price action, I'm sure, right now.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to mention something too. We saw basically the stock market a lot of people are blaming, this as a normal action in the sense that the markets are pulling back, and that because these are commodities, they're also having, a pullback as well. But one thing to point out is that the markets were crashing back in early August, and silver was holding its ground. It was basically hovering right around $40, $38 an ounce, and gold was going on an upwards tear. So clearly there is something different going on now, that we're seeing a panic in the precious metals market. Basically what we're seeing is that the precious metals were possibly acting more as currencies, and now possibly they're acting more as commodities as they're selling off with the general commodity markets. But I think that might only be a perception. And that might be a perception as being purposely put out to the public, when in fact the real reason behind the fact that the metals are pulling back are these margin requirements in themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of the news related to what Bernanke came out with last may have had some sort of deflationary reaction as far as the metals market does go. So I think there definitely is a correlation there as far as the price action goes.
So do you think this is a short-term bottom, a long-term bottom in gold or silver? What technically do you see on the horizon going into next week, next month, and maybe finishing off the year? Do you have any projections you'd like to share with us?
Well, I'd like to say that I think that the silver market should be kind of volatile, as well as the gold and the precious metal sector overall. But silver specifically, I think it will probably hover around support this, but if it's price support, I don't think we'll go anywhere past the 26.50 mark. So I think for the short term, it would be nice for like bounce trade. I know back when we had the first fall from 50 to 33, that there was a bounce involved, and it took some time to settle out. But once everything got situated, it seemed like there was an upward trend still intact. So, and from a technical standpoint, it's pretty interesting because the chart, a lot of technical traders out there may take notice that, we just now went into the oversold territory, and the previous fall from 50 to 33, we did not go into that type of that type of status on the daily chart. And I think now that we're reaching that point, it's the key indicator that some technical or chart traders do look for. It may be a good short-term buy for a possible bounce play. If you want to trade it long-term, I still think the fundamentals are there. And I would hope if you're trading long-term that you would keep the fundamentals in mind. So, it's hard to say though with all the the crazy stuff going on now. It's interesting, and I think if the price is at with the way the dollar's been bouncing, the price is freeze. It's interesting that it's fallen to such a low price. So that's about all I can say as far as the price goes right now. But we'll see what happens.
Okay, very interesting. Do you have any other thoughts you'd like, or anything else you'd like to cover at this particular point in time?
No, not so much. I do want to kind of point out that it's pretty interesting. I know the physical market seems like it will follow the paper market's price action, and what I've come to find over the last few days is that it seems ironically different. If you go on, let's say, eBay to gauge kind of the physical market and see how much you pay for something, it's really seldom to find something on there still that's not below $36, $37.
So basically, you're saying there's very high premiums on the precious metals, like on the physical metals that you're seeing on eBay. People are still selling them at very high premiums from the spot price.
Oh, absolutely, and I'll tell you, I went over to visit to go buy some physical this weekend on Saturday, and I was talking to my metals dealer. He was telling me that he had, as of Friday afternoon, he had about 1,700 single 1 ounce silver bars in rounds and assortments of that, but nothing over 1 ounce worth of about 1,700 ounces. And when I visited him on Saturday afternoon, so about a day later, he only had about 40 ounces left. So he said that the price and where it was, it just sparked a lot of the metal bugs to come out of the woodworks and start scooping a lot of them up. And I mean, he had no 10 ounces and 5 ounces out of kilo bars, 100 ounces. It was pretty interesting the way that it had been consumed so quickly in the whole day. So it seems like the physical market's kind of loving it right now. But a lot of the speculation investors, they're not really liking it because of the recent maintenance requirements. So it's a little push-pull, but it seems like the fundamentals are holding true a little more so than the speculation.
Well, it's interesting because, the price in the paper markets are collapsing, and you would expect a lot of people are selling, which is what's bringing the markets down. But we're not seeing that in the underlying physical silver that these dealers are holding. You're telling me that, logically you would think if the price is selling or the price is coming down, everyone's selling all their precious metals, but we're seeing the exact opposite in the physical market where people are actually rushing in and buying instead of selling in a panic. So clearly it seems like there's a disconnect between the paper and physical markets, and that could very likely have to do with the amount of leverage that is being produced by the paper short that are being... Go ahead.
You also think that has something... And I could just say that it was pretty interesting because I went up to go buy the silver, and the dealer said, it's $31.50 per. And I said, well, I thought we'd close at $30.93. And he said, there's a lot of speculation. We don't know where it's going to open on Monday, so we're going to sell at this. And that's never happened before. As far as when I've been going there for quite some time. So I think that alone shows that they must have been selling a good amount of them to actually be, marketed up to that rate. And clearly, we can see that there's definitely a physical premium still being charged when you go to buy the actual silver.
Right.
Do you think people are forecasting the next round of quantitative easing or cash influx into the markets and accumulating the physical metals? I mean, obviously, that has to be a good strategic standpoint, from an investment standpoint, with the dollar weakening and more money being pumped out. That has to be a safe haven. I mean, do you think that's why we're seeing the major accumulation?
Well, I think what may have happened is a lot of metal speculators, I should say, may have already been waiting for a QE3, or perhaps it was already baked in. It's leading up to what people thought would have been a QE3, and because it didn't occur, and they weren't really surprising them with anything groundbreaking, I think the overall reaction was that it was very deflationary. So it seems like the quantitative easing perhaps may have been anticipated to some extent by some gold or metal bugs. But that's a little speculative. So.
Very well said.
Well, I think we pretty much wrapped up the physical section. So right now, what are you bullish on? Are you accumulating silver? Are you accumulating gold? Where's your money?
Well, I've always been very much so in silver. So for now, I'm definitely accumulating still. I stopped this. I went over to my dealer this weekend and continue to do so. So I think the price right now is a great bargain based on when I had last bought, I should say. So I'm definitely accumulating silver. I think gold's definitely is still a good buy. It seems to still have an uptrend intact, but a lot of the speculation still may have some leeway to go. I think gold may have a little more ways to fall than silver, because ultimately silver seems to be a little more volatile than gold, and it seems like it's taken a little more of a drop so far than gold has. So, overall, I think though that this is kind of a purge for a lot of the metals. If you want to go higher, sometimes you have to go lower, and you need to consolidate. So perhaps it's kind of a trick on everyone because they raised the margin requirements, and they're trying to shake weekends out before a good run up, or maybe the speculation investors kind of just ran on emotions and sold everything out early. So it should be interesting to see what happens over the next course of a couple weeks, couple months. It could play out to be a couple month long thing.
That's excellent. Well, folks, I think that pretty much wraps up our market update segment of the show. We want to direct everybody again to go to www.stocklegends.com, sign up for the iPad 2 contest, submit your email address in the box and click submit. Guess where the Dow will be on October 28th. The last guess can be submitted October 15th. Take the opportunity to win a free iPad 2. Thank you for being a part of episode 1 of StockLegends.com. We'd like to thank all of our guests and speakers that were here today. Everyone did a great job. Until next time.
All information posted by Stock Legends for informational purposes only. It should not be construed as an offer or solicitation to offer or buy or sell securities. By listening to this radio show or this poster or this video by Stock Legends, you are accepting sole responsibility for your own investment decisions. By reading messages, doing so in videos, or listening to the radio show, you acknowledge that the information hereunto contained within this message or video provided or radio show is for general opinionated discussion and for informational purposes only. Therefore, should not be considered to be complete, precise, accurate, or current investment advice. Be aware that internet persons, videos, and so on, not only on the original message board where this disclaimer was discovered or in this video show, but other message boards that is not limited to the originated video of the website, may be increasing or decreasing our share positions in security regardless of what they are saying or posting or construing on this radio show. It may be compensated in some way or form by a third-party investor in the company mentioned posted in this video or radio show. The non-affiliated third parties compensated may or may not have shares to liquidate, which could affect the stock price. Assume that any security mentioned is owned by Stock Legends and may be buying or selling, adding or subtracting away from the position that they have, regardless of anything said, inferred, construed, or referred to. Believe before or after starting company profile. Always do your own due diligence prior to making investment decisions. Never borrow money and buy penny stocks. Always remember penny stocks are very risky. You could possibly lose your wife, keys, car, house, and everything else comes along with it. Also, be aware that information provided concerning certain securities contains forward-looking statements that involve risks and uncertainties. As in any investment, never invest in a penny stock unless you can afford to lose your full or entire investment. We completely oblige by the Fifth Amendment for this full entire show.
The whispers are true. Games that are legendary. StockLegends.com.